to enable a faster decarbonization pathway and to discuss the current challenges, opportunities, and recommendations. For establishing a corporate power purchase agreement framework in Bangladesh. So now, I'm going to welcome and call Dr. Alam Hossain Mondal, Deputy Chief of Party USAID Badge, to present his welcome remarks.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum, distinguished guests and respected colleagues. Today we are honored to have with us respected Mr. Reed Ashliman, Mission Director, USAID Bangladesh. We have Mr. Rezaul Karim, Chairman, Bangladesh Power Development Board, respected colleagues from government, USAID, donor agencies, and leading private sector stakeholders. Today, we are opening a session titled Driving Decarbonization in Bangladesh, the Strategic Role of Corporate Power Purchase Agreement. We gather here to explore opportunities for Bangladesh clean energy transition. We recognize the urgency of advancing innovation, collaborative innovation approaches that leverage private-public relationships to improve energy security and combat climate change effectively. I would like to take the opportunity to tell about the BAS project. BAS stands for Bangladesh Advancing Development Growth Through Energy. It is a 5-year project funded by USAID. It has 4 result areas we work. Result area 1 covers renewable energy and energy efficiency. Ultimate goal to scale up megawatt capacity from renewable energy and improve energy efficiency. The result area 2 supports to modernize energy utilities. Ultimate goal to minimize system loss and improve stability and reliability of power system. Result area 3 focus to ensure best value and transparent renewable energy procurement. And result area 4 deals all about cross-border electricity trade. Ultimate goal to establish a regional power market where Bangladesh will participate in the market. We have also cross-cutting areas such as private sector engagement and enhancing or advancing female and youth participation in the energy sector. So, USAID, this project has a, USAID has a MAO with Power Division to implement this project. The beauty of this project is that it has a project steering committee headed by Secretary Power Division. It has many working group and strategic group as well, such as Cross-Border Electricity Strategic Group formed by Power Division. This group BAS and this group closely working to support cross-border electricity trade. One example, BAS significantly contributed to recently 40 megawatt deal with Nepal. Nepal has already started importing this electricity from November 15th. We have a working group called Energy System Planning Working Group formed by Bangladesh Power Development Board. BAS has given lifelong licensed software and given extensive training to the team. And the group or team is now capable to develop their own power system master plan, or they can contribute significantly to develop their own master plan. We have another strategic group called Renewable Energy Procurement Strategic Group. It is also formed by Power Division. Based on this strategic group's recommendation, Grameen Fund and H&M submitted 2 expressions of interest for piloting 2 renewable energy projects under CPPA, means Corporate Power Purchase Agreement. So BAS team, BAS has MU with Grameen Phone and HNM. BAS is working closely with Grameen Phone and HMN at the same time with the government to implement these 2 pilot projects under Corporate Power Purchase Framework. So today, I am really grateful to each of you for your dedication to attend this workshop, and today's session focuses the strategic role of Corporate Power Purchase Agreement. So I would request or your participation and engagement in today and beyond is crucial to success this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alam Hossain Mondal, for your welcome remarks. Now I want to call up on stage Mr. Reed Ashliman, Mission Director, USAID Bangladesh, to present his special remarks. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, esteemed panelists, and fellow participants, it is indeed my pleasure to welcome you to this session on driving decarbonization in Bangladesh, the strategic role of corporate power purchase agreements at this Bay of Bengal Conversation 2024. Indeed, we find ourselves at a critical juncture in the global fight against climate change. Bangladesh, like many nations in the Indo-Pacific region, face significant challenges in its journey towards a sustainable, low-carbon future. However, we will see today that with challenges come opportunities, and it is these opportunities that we are here to explore and capitalize on. Corporate power purchase agreements represent a very powerful tool in driving private sector investment to scale up renewable energy in Bangladesh. This approach aligns with USAID's broader private sector engagement strategy. Our strategy at USAID emphasizes the importance of engaging early and often with private sector partners to co-create market-based solutions that address critical development challenges. Corporate power purchase agreements embody this very approach by offering a win-win solution, allowing businesses to directly source renewable energy from the private sector while simultaneously driving investment in clean energy infrastructure through carbon offsets. This approach accelerates decarbonization efforts by enabling corporations to purchase electricity directly from renewable sources. Corporate power purchase agreements reduce carbon footprints and support sustainable energy production. This market-driven approach is crucial for achieving greater scale, sustainability, and effectiveness in our development efforts. USAID, as you've heard, through its Bangladesh Advancing Development and Growth Through Energy, or BADGE project, has been working diligently for some time to develop a comprehensive framework in collaboration with the government of Bangladesh and engaging our private sector partners to help address the unique needs and challenges of the Bangladeshi context while leveraging global best practices. As mentioned, private sector engagement policy is a worldwide policy for USAID. It is a strategic approach to planning and programming through which USAID consults, strategizes, aligns, collaborates, and implements with the private sector for greater scale, sustainability, and effectiveness of development outcomes. Private sector engagement can create market-based solutions and more sustained outcomes and solutions. To this end, USAID's collaboration with the government of Bangladesh, together with the private sector, is helping promote the development of power purchase agreement policy framework. This framework will demonstrate how public-private partnerships can advance sustainable development goals while accelerating renewable energy solutions. Our session today aims to explore the critical role of corporate power purchase agreements in accelerating decarbonization efforts, with a focus on implementing this approach here in Bangladesh. We will examine how these agreements offer market-driven approaches to renewable energy adaptation or adoption, and discuss the challenges, as well as the opportunities. And finally, recommendations for establishing a robust framework and fostering open dialogue among all stakeholders by bringing together perspectives from the government, perspectives from private sector companies, as well as international organizations. We hope to pave the way for greater success for corporate power purchase agreements in Bangladesh. The diverse panel of experts here today reflects USAID's commitment to engaging diverse stakeholders needed to ensure a corporate power purchase agreement framework that is both effective and widely adopted. As we engage in these discussions, let's remember that our efforts here are part of a larger global movement towards sustainable development and climate resilience. By working together, government, private sector, development partners, we can together create a more sustainable and prosperous future for Bangladesh. Thank you for your participation here today. I look forward to an enlightening session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed, for your special remarks. Now I want to call up on stage Ms. Syed Amir, Director of Energy Procurement and Project Finance, USAID Badge, to give our keynote presentation. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. Thank you all for attending to this session. So in today's session, we'll try to discuss how corporate PPS actually can play a strategic role in achieving decarbonization targets of different organizations in Bangladesh. But before we discuss the Bangladesh context, at first let's take a look at the global status now. So the first slide, please. Next. So corporate PPS have become a crucial tool worldwide for companies aiming to meet their environmental commitments, particularly around aligning with the Paris Agreement's goal of limiting global warming up to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial era. So many companies are actually setting ambitious decarbonization and net zero targets, which drive the demand for renewable energy procurement solutions like corporate PPS. And in addition to the environmental benefits, corporate PPAs also provide price certainty and cost savings potential. So by securing a long-term energy contract, businesses can actually hedge against the rising price of electricity and thus achieve substantial energy savings, cost savings for energy over time. So from this chart here, you can see that the market for corporate power purchase agreement has grown tremendously from over the last few years. It has a year-on-year average growth rate of 33% since 2015. And in year 23, it has grown by 12% compared to the previous year. And the cumulative figure at the end of 2023 now stands at 46 gigawatt. However, this figure only includes publicly announced off-site deals, and thus the actual figure can be much more higher than this. So also, if we take a closer look at the graph, you can see that the initial growth has been mainly in the American region, while in recent years, most of the growth has been in the Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific region. Also, major corporations worldwide like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Samsung, Sony, they have entered into multiple deals worldwide in corporate power purchase agreements. So moving on, let's see what is actually driving the discussion of corporate PPA adoption in Bangladesh. Next slide, please. So several key industries actually stand to benefit from the adoption of corporate PPAs in Bangladesh, particularly the ready-made garment sector of Bangladesh. As the second largest garment manufacturing hub, this sector actually contributes to 84.6% of our total export, which is valued at $47 billion, and this actually makes up 10.4% of our national GDP. So the main destination of these textile products are USA, UK, Germany, Italy, France, etc., and many clothing buyers and retailers who actually export products to this region have their liaison office or sourcing office in Bangladesh. And these companies have their decarbonization targets. So, and also the upcoming EU legislation will also require these companies to consider the environmental footprint of their products, their source products, which actually adds another impetus for sustainable energy procurement solutions. I'd also like to mention here that the Bangladesh Garment Manufacturers and Exporters Association, or BGMA, has already signed the Fashion Industry Charter for Climate Action under UNFCCC, and they promise that their member organizations will cut greenhouse gas emissions by 30% within 2030. So this actually provides another drive towards this solution. And apart from the ready-made garment sector, there are also organizations from many other sectors, such as telecommunication, pharmaceutical, consumer good, construction, and they have their set targets for decarbonization. And this actually underscores the importance of solutions like CPPA to avoid or reduce the greenhouse gas emission from their purchased electricity from the grid. So through corporate PPAs, actually businesses are able to purchase electricity directly from a renewable energy independent power producer, and thus claim that the purchased electricity from grid is actually free from greenhouse gas emissions. So that's their motive for going for this type of solutions. So next slide, please. So how can the corporates actually purchase or consume renewable electricity? There are several options worldwide available. Like for instance, companies can go for on-site renewable energy generation from rooftop solar projects. And this can be for captive consumption, or if the net metering is allowed, then net metered rooftop solutions can be pursued. But companies with large target for decarbonization, for them, on-site renewable energy generation is not enough. So they are looking for off-site solutions, and there are many solutions available, out of which physical or direct PPA, which corporate power purchase agreement we are talking about currently in Bangladesh, but there are also other options available, green tariff, virtual power purchase agreement, but those depends on the the market structure, energy market structure of a country. And for our country, renewable energy, rooftop solar projects have already been widely adopted. While direct PPA or corporate or physical direct PPA can be actually pursued in Bangladesh. That's why we are talking about this now. So moving on, can you please click another time? This physical or direct corporate PPA has been actually adopted in many countries in the world, but if we particularly look at the Asia-Pacific region, we can see that Singapore, Taiwan, Australia, the Philippines, India, they have already successfully rolled out CPPA in their country. Next slide, please. So how can this model actually work? So let's take a look, take a simplified approach. So a renewable energy independent power producer, they will actually develop the power plant first based on the customer demand through negotiated corporate PPA. And then this REIPP will actually transmit the power to the grid. And then the grid operator, in partnership with distribution licensee, wills this power to the customer. Finally, the customer pays an electricity tariff to the renewable energy power producer, which in turn will cover the user's cost of the transmission and distribution system, which is wheeling charge and surcharge. So this structure actually provides a clear pathway for businesses to access renewable energy directly from the renewable energy power producers. And this, yes. So moving on, the next slide, please. Now, if we look at the current energy regulatory framework of Bangladesh, we can see that Bangladesh operates under a single buyer model, which actually requires the businesses to purchase electricity only from the distribution utilities. So these restricts them from identifying their source of electricity, like from which source the electricity that we are consuming in this hall room, we don't know whether it is coming from fossil fuel or from renewable energy. So they need to identify from which source they are actually getting this electricity. So our current model actually restricts them to identify this source of electricity, and thereby this limits their opportunity to get cleaner and potentially more cost-effective renewable energy procurement solutions. Next slide. But luckily, despite having these challenges, Bangladesh has a policy guideline which is conducive to corporate power purchase agreement framework adoption in Bangladesh. The policy guideline for enhancement of private participation in the power sector, which was introduced in 2008, actually allows power producers to sell electricity directly to large consumers at mutually agreed tariff. Power producers can also deliver electricity by building dedicated transmission distribution line, or they can use the existing network infrastructure by paying the wheeling charges and associated charges. And the system operator will have to ensure non-discriminatory access to the grid under this policy guideline. So based on this policy foundation, we are actually supporting the government to go develop the corporate power purchase agreement framework for Bangladesh. So next slide, please. This is the model that we have proposed to the government. So this model actually aims to create a flexible yet resilient structure for corporate power procurement in Bangladesh, which will actually enable the businesses to source renewable energy directly through entering into contracts with the private parties. And implementing such a framework can actually unlock numerous benefits for our energy sector and drive significant progress towards decarbonization. Next slide. So from USAID badge, we are supporting the development of this framework by facilitating discussion between private sector and the public sector. We have conducted numerous stakeholder engagement discussions, events, consultation meetings, training and awareness building programs to raise awareness and garner support for CPPA. Can you please click? Yes, thank you, that's all. Okay, additionally, we are also supporting conversation between the government and two of our partners, already mentioned earlier, Grameenphone and H&M, to implement this CPPA model by piloting projects under the proposed corporate PPA framework. So we are working with government, our partners, different financial institutions for providing finance as well as guarantee mechanism, and the REIPPs as well. So we believe all of these efforts will actually pave the successful rollout of corporate PPA mechanism in Bangladesh, and thus fostering a decarbonized, competitive, and resilient economy. Thank you all for your active listening. Okay, I will let the panel to take over now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sayeda, for your presentation. Now we are going to have our panel discussion on building the path forward, challenges, opportunities, and recommendations for establishing corporate power purchase agreements in Bangladesh. And the panelists are Engineer Mr. Rezal Karim, Chairman, Bangladesh Power Development Board, Mr. Ziaur Rahman, Country Manager, H&M Group, Ms. Farhana Islam, Head of ESG, Grameenphone Limited, Mr. Abdullah Hil Rakib, former Vice President, BGMEA, Mr. Faisal Rabbi, Energy Specialist, the World Bank, and this session will be moderated by Mr. Shayan Shafi, Energy Team Leader, USAID Bangladesh. Now I want to call all the panelists to take your seats on the stage. Thank you. So, Mr. Shayan Shafi, you can start the session.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning to everyone. We are very, very fortunate and we feel very happy to see the panel that is present here today beside me. We are really glad that, as we say it, all the right people are on the panel right now. When it comes to corporate power purchase agreement and how to move that agenda forward in Bangladesh, we really cannot gather a better panel than this. So, big round of applause to the panelists first, so that they feel encouraged to participate and provide meaningful and fruitful contribution to today's discussion. So, corporate power purchase agreement, as you have seen from the presentation that has been made by Ms. Saida from the USAID Batch project, it is relatively a very new concept in Bangladesh. So, as an agency, USAID, we started to work on this sector, on this corporate power purchase agreement for about little less than 2 years now. But when we started to talk about corporate power purchase agreements, it was not that easy for us to make people understand why this can actually be a potential game changer when it comes to renewable energy, unlocking renewable energy in Bangladesh. So the panelists that we have here today, they have also been very old friends of USAID and our team, to one of the few people who actually got the idea about why it matters and how this actually can make a big change, big positive impact in the Bangladesh energy sector. So I think I say it, I speak for everyone here in this panel when I say that we feel really happy to see this big an audience listening to us and trying to have a better understanding about corporate power purchase agreement and how this can help their organization and meet the country's development goals. So without any further delay, I would like to open this panel discussion today. As the moderator, I also have that role of also maintaining the time, and we have about 30 minutes for the panel today, and we will go through definitely one round of questions, and if there are time, we can also go through a second round. But I think, as we want to do it always, let's have this conversation as a very fluid and dynamic conversation, and we will try to keep about 5 to 10 minutes at the end to take questions for the panels. So let me start with that side of the panel, Mr. Ziaur Rahman, the country manager for H&M. Zia Bhai has been really a champion in advancing this agenda forward along with us from the very early stage. H&M has an MOU with our USAID batch project has an MOU with H&M, and we have been doing this for a long time. So Zia Bhai, my question to you for today in this panel is, could you please shed some light on your company's organizational decarbonization targets and how H&M is performing globally and also in Bangladesh to mitigate, reach your targets, and how you feel that corporate power purchase agreement can be a potential solution for H&M as a group. So over to you, Zia Bhai.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a real pleasure here today, and big thanks to USAID batch program, especially for helping us to solving these renewable challenges. We've been working almost like 3 years or 3.5 years. It's a great journey. I clearly see the great intention by the USAID program. So big thanks for that. First of all, we are one of the very few companies who sign the Paris Agreement. So it is start from there. I think Saida mentioned during her presentation also, this Paris Agreement actually bring us here all together. As a company, by 2030, 56% of the carbon emission, basically, so 56% of the carbon emission, that's the target we have, and by 2040, we want to be net zero, we want to achieve. And then whatever electricity we have, we want to have this 100% renewable energy in our supply chain. So it's a huge, huge target. It's like moving a mountain, you know, for this. So because if you look at our whole supply chain, even though we don't have any shops here, but our kitchen belongs here because we produce it here. So if you look at as a retailer, how much electricity that we consume or how much impact that we create in the environment, around 60% carbon emission happen from where the kitchen belongs. So Bangladesh is one of the market actually, and that's why to do something meaningful, it should be here. So that leads us here actually, and you ask what are the other reasons. I think again I'll go back to Saida's presentation. It was really resourceful. On the presentation it mentioned ESPR, Eco Design Sustainable Regulation, that Europe is adopting, and that leads us basically everything, whosoever doing business, and we are one of the European brands. So whosoever, if I short it like this, you do business in Europe, you have to comply with that. And the comply means all the footprint for the climate. So this tells us immediately that we need to do something. So as a brand. Okay, now the question is, as we are in Bangladesh, immediate questions, what do you do here? So we do partnership, because if you look at our supply chain, it's a long partnership that we create. If you want to make any changes in our supply chain, that should be through our suppliers and with our partners. So from energy efficiency program to their rooftop solar, and again this rooftop solar is something is very important, because usually you say that you have a factory, why don't you just cover with the solar? In our supply chain, if you cover 100%, that will give us roughly around 17 to 18% of our need. So that's simply not enough to solve the whole problem. And this is where basically this, the USAID batch program came out, find a solution for us. And here it's simple. You build another solar plant somewhere, connected to the grid, our supplier gets connected. So this is very, very important. If you want to do the business in Bangladesh, I'm talking about with the European market or the other markets, even for US, to have the climate footprint in a positive way. You have a big, big task to do. That was, yeah. Thank you so much for asking this.
Thank you, Zia Bhai. That's a good starter. Maybe if we have time, we'll definitely come back to you for another round. So we heard about how H&M feels about their journey in terms of advancing this agenda forward. Now let me go to Mr. Rakib. He, as you all know, he wears different hats, but today in this panel he is wearing a leadership hat for BGMEA. And Rakib bhai, we wanted to also ask you about how BGMEA you feel in advancing corporate power purchase agreement as a solution to the supply chain and the factory that you have. And when we are saying about BGMEA, we are also cognizant of the idea that BGMEA has that own target to mitigate and reach the UNFCCC Fashion Charter target that basically says reduction by 30% by 2030. So you are already on board with that idea, but how do you feel that corporates coming to agreement and having this kind of a CPPA in place, if it is in place in Bangladesh, how do you see the ecosystem change? And what advice do you have for not only the private consumers and developers, but also for agencies like USAID?
Thank you. Thank you. I must thank the organizer to have such discussion, and I'm really glad that you could consider me to be one of the panelists. For BGMEA, what BGMEA does, it's an association platform. Even then, as an association, we became an UNFCCC member. That means, that shows that our commitment to all this journey. Of course, corporate power purchase agreement is like a secondary thing, and of course an advanced level of journey, what I believe. But I believe as an association, the awareness and then understand the necessity of this journey among the members and policymakers. How does BGMEA play a role into this? That BGMEA understand what are the exposure, if we see that how much power we consume per day to produce, to execute this $47 billion of export, we almost consume approximately 8,000 megawatt of power. Now talk about how do we reduce, reuse, recycle, recover. I think without the investment, the first low-hanging fruit is to invest in assessing the projects and having the efficiency level up. If we see that lead as a success of this land, we proudly say that this is the land where 10 top factories are there. Now, having said that, what is the implication? These factories actually have 25% better saving, 49% less pollution. That means a lot, because our dollars are spent on purchasing LNG to integrate or produce this power, where our dollar are getting lost. So the first initiative, what we are coaching, we are building capacity in the industry level to guide our every members how they can consume less, how they can reduce, reuse, recycle, recover. That's the immediate journey we can start without having a massive infrastructural investment. If we can really save that 25%, that really reflect our commitment. As an association, what we committed to come up with the reduction of carbon emission by 2030. So, and also we started a RBH, Responsible Business Hub, where we started releasing data for our members in terms of pollution. so that people feel that they are doing this and what they need to do. So in terms of guiding our members and negotiating better policies with the government, we are extensively working. We must thanks to all our stakeholders, be it GIZ, be it IFC, to have many more successful projects. I must mention about a project called PACT. Having this PACT as a project from IFC, we saw that they integrate almost 400 workshops, exhaustive workshop with our engineers or with our mid-level management, how we can save. And by having that project, right now they saved almost 35 billion liter of water. They saved almost 3.8 million megawatt of power, and they could hold decarbonization by 700,000 tons. So we as an association, we want to engage our stakeholder with many more successful projects within 2030 to achieve all those. And when we see our engagement, our commitment in UNFCCC, or be it the European Union Parliament, be it responsibility with our member partners, the brand partners, I must thank also many brand partners to come forward to create those projects. And I must say that this project and this exhaustive, extensive project to build the capacity of the members, to build the capacity of the association, stroke the government, I must thank our Power Development Board to have a successful project like Shreda. And I was congratulating on the last batch of engineers, and I said that we need more qualified energy auditors who can consistently they can go to the factories and they can see every day how many dollars they can save more. So as an organization, of course, talk about corporate power purchase agreement and having that strength, I'm not sure how much we can actually successfully do, because to me there are a lot of if and buts. And I do not know whether we are going to, because this is a very much controlled industry, and I'm not sure who is going to be hurt, but it's kind of like you are giving the business out, like our aviation industry. Biman is so-called profit-making organization, where we all know that if we give it to a private sector, that will make more money. We are losing money. So the power industries is very much controlled. This CPP will actually open a Pandora's box for them. I must say that if this government can be very courageous, they can do many more things. And political government have many more restrictions, many more commitments. So I'm sure this government and all the partners can take this initiative and accelerate to have an immediate start. And of course, as an industry partners, I will be the happiest person to see that, because that will accelerate our process of savings. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Rakib Bhai. We heard many lines. We also discovered lines between your lines, and which is great. Someone questioning about how to make this CPPA work. These are the questions we also want to hear. We did not hear before. Now people are interested. This is also an indication of the seriousness in the industry as to move this agenda forward. So Rakib Bhai, thank you very much for your support and also your suggestions. We have noted a few, I have noted a few, and we'll be very happy to tap onto most of those. So now let's switch gears from a different industry to a different one. As you are seeing, Ms. Farhana is here from Grameenphone. So, and there were a time when people were wondering why a telecom operator, a telecom giant like Grameenphone is talking about this, CPPA. So we know the answer, but let's hear it from Farhana Appa. Farhana Appa, the question that we have for you today is how, like as a telecom operator, Grameenphone has very ambitious decarbonization target, climate goals as a corporate. We know your level of targets, but at the same time, why do you think that this CPPA is something that you have advanced with, and why do you think that this will actually unlock a lot of your solutions as a corporate to mitigate the effects and the reaching the target of the climate change target that you have as a corporate organization? Over to you.
Thank you so much, Shayan Shafi Bhai, and thanks to Badge Project, USAID, for inviting Grameenphone to this very dignified forum, where we have the opportunity to reflect on why it is so important and so urgent to have the corporate power purchase agreement enabled for Bangladesh. So I'm representing Grameenphone, so everybody probably knows Grameenphone is the largest telecom operator in the country. We are supporting more than 80 million customers. But what perhaps you don't know is that we have 21,000 network towers all around the country. And the biggest source of the resource that we are consuming to keep these towers up and supporting with a strong network is electricity. So each year we are consuming quite a big amount of electricity, and as a responsible organization, our commitment is to reduce our scope 1 and 2 consumptions of electricity by 50% by 2030 from our baseline of 2019. So this is a huge amount, because every year our consumption is almost more than 500,000 megawatt hours of electricity. So to have follow this journey, we are undersigned with the Paris Agreement goals, and our commitment is to science-based target initiatives, whereby which commits us to reduce our consumption every year. So each year we have a target. Not only in 2030 we have to meet that 50% carbon footprint reduction target, but this year also we have a steep target of reducing by 23%. So this is huge, and to meet this 23% reduction target, we need 310 gigawatt hours of electricity, renewable electricity this year. So this is very difficult for us to access as a private sector organization, because our only source of accessing renewable energy, number one in Bangladesh right now, is by buying certificates or through on-site deployment. So we are trying very hard to procure energy attribution certificates. Even I know that the garments industry is also working to procure these certificates in Bangladesh, which is rare here. We have to purchase from global suppliers. So this is one tough area, but buying certificates is not what we want to do. We want to actually have access to renewable energy at scale and contribute really to the renewable energy ecosystem in Bangladesh. We are trying to deploy on-site. However, we have 1,100 tower sites which have on-site deployment of renewable electricity, but this only meets a very small percentage of our total requirements. We need to access this renewable from an off-site location, because on-site, the ground-based towers only allow for deployment of on-site solar energy production. But to access this huge amount that I mentioned, more than 300,000 megawatt hours of electricity this year, and by 2030 we need more than 800,000 megawatt hours of electricity. So to procure this huge amount of electricity, we need that corporate power purchase agreement in place, whereby we can have this direct contract with IPPs, and we can utilize government's grid and distribution system to transmit it to these 21,000 tower site locations that I have mentioned. So it's a tough job, but we feel that in Bangladesh we have all the ecosystem that is gradually becoming ready. And we thank USAID Badge Project for getting the government on board. So when the public sector is on board, we feel that we will have the supporting policy, which is the first step to have this alignment in place for us to execute these projects. So we have already, like Saidapa mentioned, we have also submitted the EOI, the expression of interest, whereby we want to purchase 150 gigawatt hours of electricity ourselves, only Grameenphone. So this is, we would be the off-taker from this project. If we have the enabling policy in place, we feel that we can work with the IPPs to start implementing such a project where private sector is the off-taker of this electricity. But I'll stop here now, Shayan Bhai. There is a lot of discussion ahead, and I hope to contribute more. Yeah.
Thank you, Farhan Appa. So, sir, I'll come back to you as the last discussant. So, let us, we have heard about stories from private, two giant private groups and an association. Now, and we have been partnering with all these these corporates from a very early stage. Now, we'd like to hear from a like-minded partner of USA, the World Bank, and hear from Mr. Faisal here, energy specialist, about your view in this subject matter, and how do you feel that the World Bank can play a role here? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shayan. Very happy to be here, and it's very difficult to really add any valuable remark after such very good discussions already from the business groups and the associations. But from World Bank side, we have been working with the government of Bangladesh for a very long time, right? And Bangladesh is one of the largest recipient, if not the largest recipient of the IDA support from the World Bank Group, and we are very proud to be the partner of the country. And energy is one of the biggest portfolio that we have here as well. And there has been many projects where we have supported the government of Bangladesh in transmission, distribution, or in generation as well. You probably have read in the newspaper, even we are now in discussion with the government of Bangladesh to make sure the LNG supply chain for the country is also secured through a guarantee mechanism that we can support the government with. So there are many instruments available within the bank that we can come up with and that we can support the government with and that we can support the country with to increase the renewable energy generation. But one thing we need to keep in mind that the concessional financing that the bank or other multilateral agencies provide, while it's concessional, is limited. And with this limited amount of money, reaching the targets that the country has of 40% renewable by 2040 or even immediate targets are not really possible. So the country needs to leverage on private sector financing. So one of the very reason that I'm here today, and I'm very happy to be here together with the private sector and also the Power Development Board here, is that we can now see the bridge between the public sector and the private sector, that yes, this is happening. So the interest from the private sector is here. They want to invest, they want to come up with projects, while the public sector can do a lot of generation projects. The private sector also can come up with much more bigger portfolio of financing and investment. And if there is anything that from the World Bank side we can support the government with, be it a guarantee mechanism, be it any other instrument, we are very happy to do that. Right now we have a couple of transmission and distribution projects with the PGB, the Power Grid Bangladesh, the newly named organization. And we are very happy to explore whether strengthening the transmission and distribution network further will support these renewable energy generation projects, because it's one thing to generate renewable electricity at some point of the country, but it's another thing to bring that electricity from there to the grid and to the suppliers of H&M Group or the towers of Grameenphone. So in terms of transmission and distribution, we are very happy to see how can we support. In terms of energy generation, we are very happy to see how can we leverage the concessional financing and the guarantee mechanism to bring forward more and more renewable energy to the grid. So I kind of already answered the second layer of your question, like what can the World Bank do? But then again, if I now go back to the first question that you asked, that what my view on this topic. I think Saida made a very good point when she was presenting the slides that 84% of our export of this country is coming from textile industry, right? And Grameenphone is one of the big player, or the biggest player of telecom in this country. So these two companies and these two sectors are very big and very important for us, right? For textile, 4.5 million workers directly work in this industry. So they have 4.5 million families who depend on this industry for their bread and butter. So what happens if this ESPR, this regulation from Europe, comes forward and regulations from other countries and other regions come forward and say that, no, you can't export your product to my country unless and until you maintain the sustainability standards, you manage to reduce your carbon emissions. They will not be able to export. If they are not being able to export, this 84%, the largest share of your export basket, is really under question, like how it is going to go forward. So from my point of view, this is a very important discussion to have. We really need to understand how we can increase renewable energy generation in Bangladesh so that these sectors are supported. Right now, while we are talking about renewable energy generation through corporate agreement and other agreements, the situation is like we have less than 2% probably on the grid, renewable energy. We have, of course, other off-site distributed off-grid renewable energy generation, but on-grid, we have less than 2% at a time. And from there, we really need to go much further. I understand the transmission and distribution will have bottleneck, it will have some limitations, but it is often said that it's until 15 to 20% you really can go with variable renewable energy without much hassle. So my take is like, if anything that can be done from the private sector, from the development partners for us to come forward and push for that first leg immediately to increase the generation of renewable energy, which will take away a lot of burden of fossil fuel import from the country's coffer, for which we are bleeding a lot of money. That should be encouraged, and we are very happy to support from the bank if there is anything that we can do with, and from Power Development Board or Power Division, if there is any request, we're very happy to discuss. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Faisal. Those were really very good pointers for the audience and also for us. So with the time that we have, maybe we'll not have the time to go for another round, but we can take questions. But before that, lastly, but definitely not least, we want to hear from the Honorable Chairman from the Bangladesh Power Development Board, Mr. Rezaul Karim. Sir, our question to you today is about, like, we know that Bangladesh Power Development Board is currently the only entity that has the capacity to buy power, only buyer in Bangladesh. But with this new concept floating around, you and your organization have started to look into this. We are really grateful for that. But at the same time, we are also trying to move it faster, as you have heard from the fellow panelists. So our question to you from this panel is, with this expression of interest from Grameenphone, H&M, already submitted to the Power Division, and also USAID backing up the agreements with the EUIs with them, we see there is a need for the public sector to also contribute to this idea, and we have seen that to be a very positive signal from your company. So what do you feel that you need from us in terms of unlocking this CPPA framework in Bangladesh, and how we can support you to make sure that this CPPA framework is in place in Bangladesh, so that not just two conglomerates, but the entire private sector, whoever is interested, has a framework to follow and contribute to this renewable energy development in Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to all. Actually, what you have mentioned here, that is the main things to decarbonization issue. So, from BBDB side, we are working on that area, and we are exercising how to explore this renewable energy. You know, Bangladesh government has already taken up that serious decision that they have already established SREDA to expedite that renewable energy, and they are the single authority, they can look after this side. So government are working on that area, it is very clear, and from BBDB side, what can I say? Earlier we have established so many fossil fuel power plant like coal, HFO based power plant, but nowadays we have taken the decision that we will not go for further any fossil fuel power plant. That is our firm decision. And now we are giving that emphasis how to explore, how to increasing the renewable energy, whatever it is, like solar or wind power. That is these two fields at the utmost area. in our consideration. So far I know from H&M and Grameen Fund, they have submitted a proposal to our power division for this corporate power purchase, for this corporate power purchase agreement. Now it is in discussion level. I think from government side also they are very much positive. We are also very much positive because we know that now that renewable energy is very much urgent for everyone to survive or to sustainable development. That is the utmost requirement. So for this corporate power purchase agreement, it is a new concept in our country. So there is some challenges also, so far I know. So how do we mitigate that challenges and how do we make it easy or make it very effective? That is the main target. So it needs to some works from government side as well as from BBDB side. You know, still now BBDB is a single buyer, means being BBDB is the off-taker. They are functioning as a single buyer. So from BBDB side also requires to give some inputs to that area. So we are working. Our team is already working on that area, and we have already seated many times, and USAID based program we have also aligned with this program, and we are working along with them. So from our side there is no any problem, but always our target, we will extend our cooperation in all respect to implement this corporate power purchase agreements work. So that is our commitment. But there is so many challenges with this because the modality, what will be the modality of the CPA? So if it is within these two parties, like seller and like buyer, then there is no any problem. They can easily execute this CPA. But if it is required to use our national grid or our transmission line, then how can we accommodate this subject or these matters to incorporate this PPA? That is the our work. How can we accommodate this? Because mainly corporate PPA is the PPA where one consumer will be there and one producer will be there. There is no issue. They can, and BBDB and our government is always ready to give them their support. But when it will be required to use our national grid or any utilities infrastructure, then what will be the modality of that CPA? That should be addressed. And definitely some solution will come out after maybe some discussion. So still now that much of discussion not happened along with all utilities like our power division, our PGCB and BBDB. When we will be seated together, definitely some solution will come out and we will address it properly. That's why our target will be achieved and our energy sector will be explored. That is our target. So we are working, and very soon and very shortly, I believe strongly that within very short time some solution will be taken from our government side. And you know, our advisors are always, his remarks is like that we will go for only renewable energy sectors and we will emphasis on that sector only. But what should be addressed, that can be addressed with the discussion among ourselves. But we want to explore it, exploring it in wider scale. That is our target. You know, now what we are doing, we have given that freedom to the all DISCOM, including BBDB also. If anybody wants to install the rooftop solar, and we are providing that net metering. What is our target? Our target, we know this is the very easiest and very shortly that can be adapted in our system. And not only that, from government side, there is the instruction to all DISCOM, you just build up some significant amount of rooftop solar by net metering system to encourage the people to incorporate their industry, their installation that can be expedited. So from BBD side, we have taken some initiative, and we have already executed 2 projects in Chittagong area, which was financing by BBDB, only to encourage the people for net metering system like rooftop solar. So now people are coming, and so far I know, each and every time what I have been informed, so many people, they are coming for that net metering system. This sector is the, this is my belief, and I think this sector is one of the most vital sector to increase or to develop the RE system in our country, because you know, our solar, if we want to install a solar power plant on land base, it will take too much land. But in our country, there is some scarcity of the land. We are not able to get that much of land each and every area. That's why we will go for installation of RE power. That is one of the most challenge. So you know, there is the decision that we will go for solar energy or renewable energy at least 40% within 2041. Though maybe it is not possible, but our target will be there, and we will work to achieve this. If we will not able to reach in that area, but our target will be how we will achieve close to that target. We are working on that area. You know, within very short time, we will be able to invite for some tenders for renewable energy, and this is maybe the first phase tender open. Now the government has taken the decision, they will go for open tendering methods, that is called competitive bidding methods, and we will not go for any unsolicited project. So we are working, and our tender documents is almost ready. Maybe hopefully, if it is not possible this week, but next week it will be floated. That can I ensure you. So gradually we are going for solar project by open tendering methods. So anybody can participate in that tender. So there is no any boundary area, there is no any limitation, and already BBDB or power division, they are working with so many public partner, private sectors are there, like in the modality of IPP. So they can also participate in that tender. There is no any limitation who can participate or not. It is open for all. So we are working to explore this renewable energy. And again, about corporate power purchase agreement, there is some challenges. Like, you know, if the tariff is too high, people will not be encouraged. So how can we reduce the tariff? That will be the one target. And if multiple buyer is needed to incorporate in this PPA, this is one of the most challenges issues. Then another issue is to address how can we give them some incentive. That's why they will encourage to go for that CPA system. In that case, some tax, some duties can be exempted. That is very much important. So many things are there. So I think we are very much positive about CPPA. So we are already discussing among ourselves. When we will sit together along with, I think, Power Division, PGCB, then I think one modality will be finalized, and that can be submitted to you also for your vetting. After that, we will be able to make to finalize that CPA. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Those were really encouraging words to know that you have a positive feeling about it, and we'll be very happy to support you in any step that you feel like. So I'm not sure whether we have enough time, but if it is fine, we can take two questions. Two questions from the audience to the panelists. Please state your question, the organization you are representing, and if you have a specific panelist to ask the question, please name that panelist. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the chance. I am Ifah Asarira, currently studying in public administration at University of Dhaka. So my question is to Rejaul Karim sir and Professor Rabbi sir too, that considering that corporate power purchase agreements involve long-term commitments and are relatively a new concept in Bangladesh. So, many businesses may hesitate to commit to that agreement due to uncertainties in market demand. Additionally, there are concerns about whether Bangladesh has the capacity to meet the growing energy demand, as sir mentioned earlier that we don't have enough space to implant solar plants and everything. But especially as the government relies on private sector solutions like quick rental power plants for political and operational reasons. How would you approach negotiating with these stakeholders to address these challenges and build confidence in CPPs as a sustainable and reliable energy solution? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, if we go for CPPA, that if it is the issue of what I have mentioned earlier, if it is the issue of the, say I need some power, and some person, if he interested to establish power plant, then I can jointly we can take a decision, okay, I will purchase your power and you will supply me the power. So if the both parties are mutually agreed, they can make a contract and with a negotiated tariff. That is not the issue of BBDB. They can do it easily. If any producer, they will install their power plant, say like 2 megawatts power plant. So one consumer is not able to take all power. He needs another consumers. If it is in different place, then there will be the issue to use the grid or to use the utilities infrastructure. In that case, there will be some problem. How can you accommodate this tariff within these three parties? So it needs to exercise, it needs to study more, and then because some framework will be required. If we are not able to give them some comfort, people will not be interested. So in that area, some works to be some issues to be addressed. Then we can say whether it is comfortable for them or it is suitable for them. Otherwise, if the what is the main concept of CPPA? That is the mutual agreement of the buyer and seller. And if it is like so, and they will establish their system in that way, there is no issue. Anybody can do it. There is no any observation from any side. Thank you very much. And again, you have mentioned the quick rental, or we can explore that in that area also, but it is now, what I have mentioned earlier, the now government is very much rigid. They will not go for any others negotiated price power plant. We will go for competitive bidding, and tariff will be determined by the competitive bidding methods. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If I just add quickly, first of all, very intelligent question. I don't know if at your age I would be able to frame a question like that, so kudos to that. First, I think there are two parts of your question. The second part and first part, sir already answered something, but from my point of view, on the long-termism of the contract, right? So PPAs are anyway long-term contracts. So right now, PDB have PPAs with many power producers, and these contracts are quite long-term. So why do these companies has this confidence of over PDB that they would be paying them? And why would be different with a private sector player, right? Because PDB is backed by the sovereign, that they have a sovereign guarantee. And now, when the private sector will be coming into the play, they will also need to show that they have the balance sheet to support this. And if there is a need for some level of guarantee mechanism, some level of payment guarantee, there are many instruments in the private sector, in the public sector, that can be used to reduce the risk of such problems of payment and everything. And from the bank side, as I was mentioning during my speech, that we are happy to discuss with PDB or Power Division or anyone if there is interest from them to find out a solution together with us. On the question of the difference between quick rental and this, sir also has identified that, I mean, quick rentals happened a couple of decades ago when the situation and the context was different. And now we are in a situation that we understand that we have a different need in the country, and we need to go for negotiated contracts than not negotiated contracts, but for solicited contracts where there will be proposals, then there will be competitive process. And what we are discussing here is, again, a separate method where private sector will buy electricity directly from the private sector at a negotiated price. And in the future, probably we'll have a market-based system, open exchange system, where electricity will be purchased and sold in a market system. So we can always come up with different modalities that will make sure that as a country, we are doing the best for the industry and for the sector. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We can take one last question, and yes, please.
Thank you very much. I'm Admiral Awal, a former ambassador and associated with a maritime think tank. Thank you, panel, for enlightening us. I'm really confused and frightened to understand what you have said. So far, we have understood that we are not a polluter, not a culprit in this carbon footprint. So we are supposed to do only the adaptation, no mitigation. It is for the, the big polluters they have to do. So it has been going on. I didn't know personally. I don't know how the audience knows. So this is a carbon footprint management. Two short questions. One is for the USAID. The thing is based on Paris climate agreement. If the Donald Trump goes by his pledge, on the first day he's going to issue an executive order cancelling it. Will the batch survive after the US cancellation, as is the USAID project? Then come the question of, we are talking about the modality. I'm talking about the source. Where from this clean energy is coming? It's only by stretch of imagination, only 3%. To Chairman BPDB, could you please tell us, if the target is 40% by 2040, and as the H&M says that their target is net zero by 2040, so no export after 2040 from Bangladesh, if it goes by that. What is the estimate of how much land will be required for this solar energy project? We don't have wind. We have problem with the irradiation. Per megawatt takes 3 acres of land, and there are restrictions on the, use of agricultural land. And it's nice to hear that there's a decision. I do not know because it has been notified that there will be no further fossil fuel power project. So where from this power comes? Now, to me, it is we are at the crossroad. What to talk about loss and damage to save ourselves? Because if you are not the polluter, how can you comply with this? European Union, definitely they are going to imply. Europe has started the industrial revolution. It is already 1.3% of the industrial revolution target. Now, they are doing all the pollution. Can Bangladesh, in any stage of imagination, go for even near to this target of what to talk about compliance, not to go near to it? Thank you. Maybe I'm in a hurry.
Thank you, sir, for your question. I think we had two questions. One was directed to USAID and the other one was directed to the Power Development Board. So I'll take the one that was directed to USAID about whether our project will survive in the coming years or months. Very much so, yes, it will continue, irrespective of who the administration is in the US. We have never seen any kind of blockade in terms of what USAID as an agency has in our strategy. We definitely will continue to do our work, and just FYI, it's still, we are operating under the same administration, and we are still going through the project that we already have, and we are also working on designing new projects when it comes to climate change mitigation and adaptation. We have a big portfolio that looks into adaptation, climate change adaptation and resilience. And similarly, we have the portfolio that we manage here that looks into greening the grid and also greening the grid and the supply chain and make Bangladesh more prepared for climate change mitigation. So we are a strong proponent of doing both for a country irrespective of the emission sources. We know that Bangladesh is not a big polluter, but at the same time, if we go through the books that the government of Bangladesh has also communicated with, Bangladesh has an NDC, the Nationally Determined Contribution, that talks about mitigation and the target from 4 different industries, how Bangladesh plans to contribute to the climate change mitigation. So we really think that it is basically the two sides of the same coin. One cannot go without the other. So that's all for my question. And sir, if you would like to answer the second part of Ambassador Sir's question. Thank you very much.
Actually, there is a regulation. We cannot go for renewable energy each and everywhere, because there is some rules and regulation for if we want to install or establish any RE power plant, it should be the land which is the cultivated land. If it is once in a year, that land cannot be used for this power plant. So in many areas, some karst land are there. So we are working, we are searching, and people are also searching where it can be feasible. So we will not go in that way that we will acquire or we will use the cultivated land. That should not be, because there is the barrier. We cannot go for that land for installing any RE power plant. We know our country is very small, but land is the main issue. There is the scarcity of the land. So that's why we are encouraging for rooftop solar. That can be easily one kind of biggest area for increasing the solar or RE energy. That can be already explored, and people are coming with a very positive manners in this area. And parallelly, we are searching the land where the land is feasible for set up this type of power plant. So we will not go for any cultivated land where this crisis will be arise, why we are occupying this cultivated land for producing that RE power plant. So we are trying to avoid this issue. So in coastal area, so many land are there. It needs to some develop that land. That can be, in Maheshkali area, we have already, from BBD side, we have already acquisition around 6,000 acre of land, where there is no any infrastructure, there are houses, and it is a very much usable for that solar project. So we are searching this type of land where we can easily establish or install that power plant. So we will not go in that way. We will occupy the cultivated land. So we are working on that area. So definitely there is some rules and regulation from the government side which land will be feasible for this power plant, and we are going for only that type of land. So no issue in that case. It will not hamper, it will not impact in that area. Thank you very much.
Sir, just to add another point here, when we are talking about corporate power purchase agreement, agreeing to all that sir said, but it also opens the option of using private lands, because we are talking about two groups, two private companies coming to an agreement. So the option for building your renewable energy power plant in a private land is also an option. So that is also something that I want to highlight. Yes, go ahead.
Just on that point, just another, I have been hearing this a lot, that Bangladesh does not have enough land. But as sir just pointed out, that 6,000 acres of land is there that we can, based on different modalities, we can really utilize that for something, which has not been done yet. So there is enough land available, that's number one. Secondly, okay.
Sorry, let's just, we have to also close this. Faisal, if you have, you can go ahead with your opinion.
Yeah.
We are taking everything positively.
Actually, we will not go for only the RE, means solar. That is our plan for wind power plant, offshore wind power plant. That can be explored in that sector. That is also in our target.
Right.
Floating solar and then offshore solar. So everything's are in our consideration. How can we accommodate this without destroying or without damaging our agricultural land? That is in our mind, and government have very much concern about this. They will not, if you want to install or set up a power plant in any area, some NOC is required from the government side. Means our DC office or our UNO office, if they will certify, yes, this is the unused land that can be used, only in that area it is possible to install that power plant. Otherwise it is not possible. Some NOC is required from the government side, like DC office or UNO office. If that NOC will obtain, then that area can be, but that land can be used as a solar power plant. Otherwise it is not possible.
Thank you very much, everyone. Let's have a round of applause for the panelists. And we have heard from you, and we'll be very happy to take additional questions in the breakout sessions. But for this round, thank you very much for your time, and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Now I will request all the panelists to take a group photo first, then I will call all the team to take a group photo.